All right, this is Captain Paul Brawley with Fish Finder Guide Service. This week, it looks like we're going to have a build up to a norther, a lot of southeast wind. Some days will be heavier than others. So, a lot of times on the southeast, what I'm doing right now is staying pretty close to this intercoastal right here. And I'm fishing this first 20, 30 yards off the intercoastal, all through here in front of these little islands, all out in front. There's a lot of little piers you can sit between, all out through here. And I'm not going very far off the flat. I'm basically jumping the bar and power pulling down and throwing into all them first sand holes you're seeing. We had been using a lot of croakers, but the croakers are weaning out. If you can get them, it'll work fine. If not, you can use live shrimp underneath a popping cork and about a kind of a shorter leader, maybe only a 14-inch leader, because all that's a little bit shallow. You can look for redfish, trout, and a few black drums through that area right there. It seems to be producing pretty well. Coming across all the way to this west side with this wind, and the tide should be going down a little bit, we hope. And you're going to be fishing this grass line you can see right here. And you're going to be drifting. Once you hit the grass line, you're going to be drifting about 100 to 200 yards in, coming back up and making these drifts out onto that. I'm only going about halfway to shore. I'm not going all the way. So that drop is pretty far out in the middle of emerge here, and we're only drifting a couple of 100 yards up onto it, where you're still seeing plenty of sand holes. Once you get to where it's solid grass, which this map is not very indicative of actually what's there, but there's a lot of solid grass in this area. Once you get to that solid grass right there, you're done. You're coming back out to where the grass first meets the deep water, and you're drifting through all the potholes, throwing your corks and shrimp. And that area right there has been doing real well with some real nice trout and some bull reds. You may get a red over there that'll surprise you. All right, we're going to move a little further south now. I'm going to take a look at these 5 spoils right here. I got real wide on that one, sorry. We're going to go looking at these 5 spoil islands right here. What we're going to be doing is be fishing the windward side of all these spoils, and you're going to be trying to throw a little bit tight up there. You're going to try to stay on this particular island, and all the ones that are on this side of the intercoastal, or the 2 that are, you're going to have bird signs. So you're going to stay, within the bird zone. You're not going to approach the island past the bird signs, and you're going to throw popping cork and shrimp as tight as you can up there. That would be that island. This other island right here will have the bird signs. So you're going to be looking for redfish on all of these spoils right here. These don't have the bird signs. You can get a little tighter to them, and you're going to be throwing up there. And then be careful around this one. This one has a little bit of rocks and also a bunch of structure, piers, different stuff like that. So just be careful around those. On that particular one, that would be the Yellow Cabin Islands. So just kind of watch yourself in that area. But all around those islands, especially on the windward side, throwing cork and shrimp, you're going to be looking for redfish, black drum, and an occasional trout. The trout will be on the bigger side because they're going to be up there pretty shallow. But that area right there seems to have some reds, very few trout, but now and then a really good one, and some black drum. Just have to work your way down all those spoils. It's been pretty productive through there, so give that a shot. All right, we're going to continue a little further south. We're going to be looking right here around the Twin Palm Island area, Compuertas Pass. This little area right there. There's a lot of rocks in there. I'm not making big drifts or anything when I'm there. I'm kind of coming up in here and posting up with my power poles and making about 10 12 casts, and if we get a few, we may hang an extra 5 minutes. If not, we're just bumping up a little bit at a time with the trolling motor, and we're just kind of working this whole area right in this indicated circle weird shape I made there. And we're just looking for redfish, black drum, and speckled trout. We're using shrimp and cork still. You may move a little further, tighter to the shoreline, and come over into this little zone. Approach it very carefully if you don't know it. But that little zone right there has been holding some very nice speckled trout, some redfish. I recommend you would stay tighter to King Ranch, and then you would use your trolling motor to venture out into this area if you do not know it. There are several rocks. It is right near Catheads. It is also part of the Badlands, so you will encounter just random rocks and places. Most GPSs indicate where the rocks are very well these days. Just however, buyer beware and travel at your own risk in those areas right there, because you could end up having a problem if you don't know it. Anyway, that area there has been holding some pretty good trout. Really, that whole stretch, but where it widens up there between the cabins and back in here in the original mouth seems to be the most productive of the areas. We're going to be moving over here onto the wall of rocks, which is this area here, and also across to Penascal, which would be this area right in here. Both areas are holding trout, some redfish, and some scattered black drum. We're also going to be using the shrimp underneath the popping cork through there. Also, if you come up here to Rivera Channel and you come back on the back side of the wall of rocks in this area right here, you'll be able to see the shallows if you're headed towards the shoreline here, which the shoreline would be that direction. If you're headed towards it, you'll be able to see the shallows on your right or to your east, which is this direction. You will come up with a few trout, redfish, and drums on that side as well. It just gives you a little bit more room in case there's a bunch of boats in here. You can always come out and around the point there. There's definitely a point at the end of the wall of rocks, and you can fish the opposite direction on the outside, on the Baffin Bay side of those rocks. There seems to be some pretty decent fish right in there. You could also come up the Rivera Channel, and then you're going to come right in this area here, right off of, it's like a curve or a point. You can see it here on the Kennedy shoreline, how it curves. Golly, I'm horrible with this today. But anyway, the rocks out here also make that curve. Once they get to an apex of the curve right in there, it seems like right on the outside of those rocks on that curvature have been holding some pretty good trout and a few redfish. That area there you want to be careful with because the rocks are very shallow through there. So just always when you're coming off a Rivera Channel, if you don't know it, you want to use your trolling motor or just really ease into some of that stuff. Anyway, that's the report for this side of the, I guess it would be Baffin. We're not in Laguna anymore. Over here around the mouth of Baffin in that area, there's quite a few fish all in the indicated areas. So you guys be careful, be safe, and have a great fishing trip.